takes real grit to make a name that'll stay. You brag about a booth and a drink in the night. I'm talking 4 a.m. lonely screen, long fights. It isn't in a back room, strobe light hype. It's early alarms and them dark phone lights. Why you chasing that last call, last song, last high? I'm chasing that last name written in the sky. Yo, this that grind talk. 4 a.m. mind talk. You just hit the club, I've been running up the clock. You watching my back, man, you so far back. You can't even get close another mile in attack. I'm in the gym, building both body in the bank. Heart rate, heavyweight, fill another tank. You live for the night, I live for the climb. I don't party with the crowd, I just party with the grind. Hey, others say to watch my back, they gon' do you wrong. But I look over my shoulder, ain't nobody that strong. They still chasing some status I already passed. You can't threaten my lane when you jogging and last. Sweat drip in the rack, that's my diamond chain. Each plate, each rep, engraving my name. While you flex in a flick, I'm stretching my frame. Same hour, same earth, whole different game. Alarm go off, that's a war horn ring. Every early morning like a title fight swing. I'm shadow boxing out, uppercut to the fib. By the time your night ends, I'm a whole new
Morning, Alice.
This that grind time talk, 4 a.m. mind talk. You just hit the club, I've been running up the clock. You watching my back, man, you so far back. You can't even get close another mile in attack. I'm in the gym, building both body in the bank. Heart rate, heavyweight, filling up the tank. You live for the night, I live for the climb. I don't party with the crowd.
Good morning, Clarissa.
Early bird, never scared, I've been wide awake. You dream big, I be big, that's a different stake. You want fame, I want legacy, that different lane. You want now, I want always, that's a different name. Different name, different name, different name. This ain't grind time talk, 4 a.m. mind talk. You just hit the club, I've been running up the clock. You watching my back, man, you so far back. You can't even
everyone hear me okay this
week? I'm in the gym, building both body in the bank. Heart rate, heavyweight, filling up the tank. You live for the night, I live for the climb. I don't party with the crowd, I just party with the grind. Up before the sunrise, you still smell like last night.
Awesome.
This that long game, talk no rewind, no edit. 10-year vision in the mirror when I said it. They chasing little moments, I'm chasing a lineage.
All right, all right, all right.
Chasing 30-second likes. I'm clocked in 10-year vision, putting steel in my spine for the fight. They be dancing all crazy, trying to catch the next wave. I'm in the quiet, laying blueprints, stacking bricks while they crave the selling sugar, quick fixes. Empty receipts, I'm cooking slow, roasted purpose, planting generational seeds.
Oh, I saved it somewhere.
I want a legacy feast. They scroll for validation, I'm signing deeds while they tweet. They feed the algorithm, then they wonder why they hollow. Trade a compass for a comment, and some numbers they can follow. Every click another chain link, tightening they leash while I'm
I hope everyone had a good weekend this weekend. All right, we're going to kick this off one last song, and then we're going to get rolling. Come on, Grit Nation. It is Monday. We are Grit Nation. No excuse. So got to bring the mic over here. Oh, no. I'm like sitting there going, I feel like my desk is a lot more bigger than it normally is. It was. The mic was sitting over to the right. Debut. We are Grit Nation. Good morning, Adam. Good to see you, brother. Well, see you on the screen. Morning, bruh. What's up, Underwood? It's your responsibility. Come on. Morning, Dakota. Today's do. Today's do. Step. Yo. All right, Grit Nation, you know what time it is. It is Monday morning. Yes, I understand, especially here in Colorado. It is 4:20. You take that for however you want. I will not be partaking today because I get my high and motivation from so many other things. But no judgment, right? It is Monday, April 20th, 2026, and this is Coffee with Coach. If you are watching this over on YouTube, I'm sorry, I cannot see your comments. The streaming system that I use, I am still learning it, and supposedly you're supposed to get the comments in the platform, but it doesn't work. But I do have the comments of our Facebook pulled up, and so you will hear me a couple different times starting off this morning saying good morning and referring to individuals who are talking to me over on our Facebook group. So, man, absolutely. What a freaking morning. And I say that in a good way. It is beautiful. The sun is rising up over the east here in Colorado. It is a nice, brisk morning. And what a weekend. It was so funny because we were talking, this coach and I were talking about how typical Colorado spring, we had the 80-degree weather, and then we had, man, we were only supposed to get about an inch of snow. We got probably about 2 to 3 inches. I'd say about 3. I don't know what the official report is. I was just looking on our back rail. And then back to 80-degree weather, and today it's supposed to be a high of 79. And that is, it's the beauty of Colorado. It's the beauty of spring here. This morning, I want to start off with just a really cool story. A story of just a good feel-good story, right? We need something to get us motivated this morning. We need us to get something that will get us thinking, moving through our week as we start another week. Summer is almost here. That is hard to believe. It's hard to believe that we are almost in May of 2026. It is absolutely crazy. This morning, I want to talk to you, share a little story about a coffee shop in Northfield, Minnesota called the Little Joy Coffee. Hey, we like coffee here at Grit Nation. That's why we have Coffee with Coach. I love my coffee. Hardly without a cup of it. But there is a coffee shop in Northfield, Minnesota. If you live near Northfield, Minnesota, go try them out. I've never tried it out. I don't think I've ever actually been to Minnesota. But try them out. Tell them you heard about them here. There's a story I read this morning about how they just share and they give, and I think it's something that we can utilize in our own life before we get into the topic of what we want to talk about this morning here at Coffee with Coach. This is just our feel-good story. So they have this premise, this idea, this way of operating that when I read it, I was like, man, that is what we should be doing in our lives. It's what I strive to do actually every day in my life. And it is when you get something that is really good and you're able to create something that can have a positive impact, it's our responsibility. If you've learned something, it's our responsibility to move it forward. Man, my nose is just like itchy. About time for me to trim my beard, I think. Sorry about that, folks. But they have the particular story that I read was about this particular raspberry latte. But it really isn't about the raspberry latte. It's about something so much more. And they have this raspberry latte that I guess it's called a raspberry Danish latte. And it is one that I guess is really popular. And they have this idea of DIY or buy. And I was like, DIY or buy. And it's a really cool concept, especially for a community coffee place that is trying to build community. And we talk all the time and Grit about the importance of community, tribe. And they have this idea where they create something and they show you how to create it with the idea that is it worth actually buying at our place, or can you make it at home? Can you do it yourself? And if you can do it yourself, and it's easier for you to do it yourself, cheaper for you to do it yourself, then do it. And I'm like, that business model, when you look at when you really dive down into the idea of business, that shouldn't work, right? Because the idea is that you're creating a concept or a product or something that someone can't get anywhere else. And obviously, big corporations, you know, that they have their secret recipes that they don't want anyone to know about. This small cafe has kind of done the opposite. They will create a latte or a drink, and then they will show you how to make it to see if you can do it better at your house. And if you can't do it, not only do they do that, when they come up with something such as the raspberry Danish latte, they actually will post it on social media and they will give it out so that other small cafes and coffee houses can replicate it. And I was like, that is absolutely the true essence of community. And in fact, this particular, I'm looking to see this particular drink now. Uh, let's see. There are they created this drink and now there are 234 coffee shops across 24 countries that actually serve this raspberry Danish coffee or latte. And I'm going, what a way they've got. It says every single state except for 5, West Virginia, Maryland, South Dakota, Missouri, and Mississippi, have cafes that sell it. 23 countries, including Canada, the UK, Korea, Malaysia, and New Zealand. You want to talk about making an impact? That's making an impact. That is the true essence of building an influence, but in the right way, as well as good morning, Kyle, as well as building an impactful community of individuals. It's, hey, we've got this. You've got to travel all the way to get this. No, what they said is, hey, we found something, guys. We're on to something. And not only are we on to something, I want you to be a part of it. And when I want you to be a part of it, I'm going to share the steps you need to take in order to be part of this community. And that story, when I read it this morning, I was like, wow, that is what I try every day with Grit Nation. That's what I've been trying for over 10 years with Grit. And that's what I challenge you to do today is if we've made an impact, if Grit's made an impact, if this community, this tribe has made an impact, you should be telling other people about it. Not so that we can grow the numbers of the likes or whatever, but it is because the more that we share what is impactful to us, the bigger chance we have of making an impact in someone else's life and maybe even making an impact in someone's life that we never knew that we made or where we ever met, right? Could you imagine where you shared some truths or tools that you learned here at Grit, or you shared about the group, or you shared about the TikTok, you shared about the YouTube, whatever it is, you shared about the workshop. We've got the workshop coming up, the basic training workshop coming up May 4th, only just not too far away. And you shared that with somebody and maybe you didn't see the impact, but then they took it and shared it with someone and they shared it with someone and somewhere someone's life was absolutely changed, encouraged, and maybe they didn't give up on life. You had that powerful impact just by sharing something that you came across that said, I think this can change your life. And so, absolute amazing job for that little coffee house, Little Joy Coffee House in Minnesota. Thanks for sharing, getting your story out there. Thanks for the raspberry Danish latte. Even though I've never tried it, thanks for sharing it so that the story got out there because that encouraged me this morning. But we're not talking about raspberry Danish lattes this morning. Nope, we're not. I know. Now I'm kind of hungry. Do have the coffee. You have the coach. I have Grit Nation. And this is Coffee with Coach. And this morning, I want to talk to you about move off the damn fucking X. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a reason we have this marked not for kids. Because there is, I'm just going to be real, folks. Get off the damn fucking X. Move off the X. For my military brothers, I know I've got at least one watching this today. You probably recognize that statement. What do I mean by that? I think we actually covered this before in one of our workshops. I think the war workshop, willingly accepting responsibility, war, going to war. We talked about the importance of move off the X. What is the X? The X is where you're at. The X is the infill point. The X is either the infill, the place where you landed to join the battle. The X is where you stayed for a little bit of time. The X is where the enemy knows you're at. The X is present. And I know you say, well, coach, you say all the time, stay present. Right. But I don't want you to stay present. I don't want you to stay in staying present. We get to a point where we have success in our life. And when I say success, I'm not saying maybe you're out there making $1 million. Fantastic. If you are, please send me an email. Tell me how you did it so I can mimic it. It's kind of like the little coffee house, right? Little Joy Coffee House. Share your wealth. I don't necessarily need your money. I don't want your money. I want to learn how you did it so I can make my own money. I'm not talking about these big exceptional things. What I'm talking about, I was actually talking to a client recently who has had some great success in their personal well-being journey that I am coaching them in. And even with my daughter, who had a couple things that have happened, and there was some of this negative talk, right? There was this, not where I want to be, not quite what I wanted to do. I didn't accomplish quite what I wanted to accomplish. And I said, but look at what you have accomplished. You got to remember that. Look where you started. The problem is sometimes we get to those points of success and we celebrate, as we should, and then we pitch our tent. We like that feeling. We took that big step. Coach has been talking about show up. I showed up. Fantastic. Great job. Coach said, keep showing up. But I never even moved. Like, I got here and I'm like, I'm here, guys. Hey, I'm here. I'm here early. Y'all, I'm here. Well, the reason you're alone is because you got there, people showed up, and then it ended. I had the opportunity this weekend to go to a concert at Red Rocks here in Colorado. And I talked about this on the previous Coffee with Coach. If you've never been to Colorado and you have never been to a concert at Red Rocks, you are missing out. And you should, I believe one of our Grit Nation members said it's their bucket list. You should absolutely put it on your bucket list. It is probably, I think it was rated the number one or one of the best number one venues in Colorado or in the United States for a concert. And I personally would agree with that. Not because I'm biased in any way because it's in Colorado, but because it is absolutely a fantastic venue. When you pull up and you go into the venue, it's as if you are walking into the mountains or into all these rock formations. It is like a world separated. And then you get to listen to good music. But I had the opportunity to go to a concert this weekend at Red Rocks. And how weird would it be? How strange would it be if once the concert was complete, that I would stay there? Lights come on, bands tearing, the roadies, everybody's tearing down all of the equipment. People are cleaning up. I'm just still sitting in my seat. I had a great time. This was a great concert. And I'm looking around like everybody's cleaning up. Well, eventually they're going to come to me and say, hey, bud, you got to go. Like, the show's over. In fact, it's been over. Red Rocks does a lot of different things, not just concerts. They do many mornings when it's good weather. It's a destination for fitness people because of the way that it is built. A lot of people will actually run the amphitheater. They do yoga on the rocks. It's because it has a beautiful uh, image or view, I should say, of the eastern sky. And so when the sun comes up, they do yoga on the rocks, all these kind of different things. But imagine if I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm in my band shirt. I'm not that guy. I don't wear band shirts and I don't wear band shirts to a concert. But let's say I was wearing my band shirt. I'm just sitting there. I was sitting there doing yoga on the rocks and I'm like, hey guys. And they're like, who are you? You doing yoga? No, I was here for the band last night. Man, great show. Fantastic show. And they're like, yo, that was last night. We get to a point where we get some success and we are excited about it, as we should be. The problem with it is then we stay there and we wonder why it is that we do not continue to grow or to move forward. That's the X. You showed up. There was a mission. You got to a point. You landed on the X, kind of like a pirate map, right? X marks the spot. And you arrived. The problem with staying on the X, especially when you come to the military terms of my background, is that when you stay in one place for too long, that place becomes your identifier. And if you can identify with that place, and if you've stayed on that place for long enough to be identified with that spot, then the universe will try to do everything it can to make you uncomfortable on that spot. In military terms, the enemy knows you're there. And that's danger. Because if the enemy knows you're there, they can start lobbing in rounds, mortar rounds, attacks. They can send their own unit to the X. They're coming for you. And if you don't move off the fucking X, you are a sitting duck. You're a sitting duck for all the turmoil, all the rounds coming in. What was successful now becomes the albatross around your neck. You got there, but you didn't move forward. And now the world you're about to be in a world of hurt. So my message this morning is move off the X. How do we do that? How do we accomplish? Man, coach, that's a great talking point. In fact, I might even put that in a TikTok later, coach. That's like cool. We're not here about stating quotes that sound cool. We're talking about action points, actionable items that we can put a movement to, that we can a call to action. And so you showed up. You showed up, you continued showing up, you set a goal, you achieved part of that goal, or maybe you achieved that goal totally in total. And you're sitting there, and as I would tell you to do so, you're creating victory. You're celebrating. Woo woo, band is here, drums are starting, curtain goes up. Man, lifetime experience. Now, what are you going to do? First of all, you have to identify, have I been on the X? Did you show up? I did, coach. Fantastic. Did you achieve a goal? I did, coach. Absolutely amazing. Yes, there's a certain brief period where you have to stay and recollect. You have to check your resources. You have to make sure, okay, we got here, guys. Everyone good? All head, fingers, toes? Cool. Manpower's good. Didn't lose anybody? Nope. All right. How about our gear? Do a gear check real quick. Everybody got their gear? Yep. Got all the supplies you need? Yep. Cool. You've done that. Now's what is the next step? Where do you move from here? And if that's not the thought pattern that you have, then you've probably already stayed on the X for too long. Once you've identified your next objective, once you have identified the next route, now you move. If the area that you are staying in life, if you look around and you're like, man, it's all looking so familiar. In fact, it looks so familiar that I have built my hooch. It's a tent, guys, but we call it a hooch. I've built up a little hooch. I've got my poncho. I've got my bungee cords. I've even dug a little hole. I even have a small fire pit that I can put my coffee on so I can listen to Coffee with Coach in the morning, you're on too long. If you have become comfortable to the place where you have created and established an operational base of where you're at, you've been on the X for too long. You should remain uncomfortable. And it should be okay, let's move out. Where do we go from here? What do we do? And let's move. And here is why. So you've identified you got there. You've identified you were successful in the current mission. You have observed the next mission and have set the next goal of where you are to go, the next objective. And you kind of realize you got a little comfortable. I remember even in training, it's like when you're especially in training, like you're training for it to be real, but you're like, yeah, listen, we're out here for like 2 weeks. We're out here for a month. Like counting the days down. If I don't get it right this time, we're redoing it again tomorrow. Sarge is going to say it. And so you half-ass it, right? You just half-ass it. Well, if you half-ass it, then when the time comes, it is the real shit, you're going to half-ass it. And that's not the time to half-ass it. So you're going to train like you fight. And you're sitting there going, okay, I've identified all these things. Now I need to move. One of the reasons we don't move a lot of times is we haven't taken the next step. We don't know the next objective. We don't know how to get there. It's not a secret. I've explained several times. I hate land navigation. That is the art of navigating land, right? It is the art of reading a map, using a compass, being able to figure out I'm here, here's where I want to go, and this is how I'm going to get there. I don't like it, but it's important because I can't move if I don't know where I'm going to go. The thing, though, is too, sometimes we just have to move. You may not know exactly how you are going to get to your next objective in life. But what I promise you is if you remain on the X, you're not going to get there. At least if I move where I'm currently sitting, I may be in the woods. I may be in a tree line that is so thick, I can't see anything. And I think, according to my map, I might know where I'm at. But I'm not quite certain. But I do know that I need to get north of where I'm at. And so the least, if I can't determine exactly where I'm at on the map, my journey of life, at least start moving off the X and moving in a northern direction, because I know I need to go north, until I get to a place where I can identify a clearer path forward. You have to move. If you don't move, you will be ambushed. If you don't move, you will be attacked. If you don't move, you will become mired and muddled in your current situation. And what at one time was a success now becomes the obstacle. You might be sitting here going, Coach, I don't understand why I feel like I'm constantly hitting these obstacles because, man, I just had this great success. Oh, you did? Tell me about it. Well, you know what? 3 years ago, I did this. Well, hold on a second. You said you just had the success. Man, I did, Coach. So I asked you to tell me about it. I am, Coach. So 3 years ago, 3 years ago, you haven't moved off the X until I didn't know where to go from here, Coach. I mean, I listened to Coffee with Coach. I've been part of Grit Nation. I've been reading stuff. I start my morning off with motivational and inspirational and educational stuff, Coach. I mean, I'm doing all the things, but I kind of got here and got scared. I mean, I didn't think I was going to make it this far. And I got here, and then I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I got scared, Coach. And I mean, the woods out there are pretty scary. I mean, I like where I'm at. I don't quite know where I'm at, but I know it was a good thing that I got here. And I like it. Coach, what if I make the wrong decision? I mean, I'm kind of an overthinker, Coach. And what if I make the wrong decision? I know where I'm at right now, know where I want to go, but I just don't know if how to get there. There's many times training in the areas that we trained. I would remember if Underwood's still watching this, you'd be walking and all of a sudden, especially at nighttime, you're doing some night training and all of a sudden you hear ahead. If you're not the point guy, you're not that first guy, all of a sudden you hear a lengthy chain of swear words and splashing. And you realize that you are about to enter a very wet part of training. The path forward is not going to be comfortable. And you just wish and hope that someone says, this probably isn't where we need to go. Let's turn around. But no, they keep moving forward. They're getting off the X, and you find yourself in waist deep water, and you're like, this is miserable. But at least you're moving. The thing is, you may not know how to get to your next step. But I promise you that if you don't move, the one thing I can guarantee is you will never get there. What you need to be able to do is you need to understand. We have this term in the military that the enemy cannot hit a moving target. In fact, when you're learning basic elements of movement under fire, there is a statement that they teach you. I'm up, he sees me, I'm down. I'm up, he sees me, I'm down. And the idea is that when you are moving from point A to point B, you are to chant that in your head. And if you can get to that point and say, I'm up, he sees me, I'm down, and you're still up, well, you aren't moving fast enough and you're not doing the proper things. And the enemy's identified who you are, where you are, and have targeted you. An enemy cannot easily hit a moving target. And so the idea is today you should be asking yourself, am I rooted in a place that was once success, but I have become so rooted that it now has become a place of my demise? I must get off the damn X, and then I must move. I must get moving and say, I'm up, I'm moving, I'm up, he sees me, I'm down, establish a new foothold, realign your azimuth of where you're at, get back up, move forward. It's called a bounding movement in the military. That's how we moved our troops forward across an objective. And we can use that, as I say a lot of times in my TikToks, there's a lesson there. We need to apply these principles to our lives. You got there. Fantastic job. High five, everybody. I have all fingers, all toes. High five, everybody. We've got everyone. Yep. Got all our gear. Yep. Now, let's move out. There's still other objectives to take. And I don't care if you are not quite sure how to get there. You have an idea of where you're going to go. Move. Because here's the thing. I'm going to move and I may not be able to see because the trees are too thick. And I may kind of have an understanding, but I just know I need to get away from where I landed. And as I move, I am then able to get a clearing that I couldn't see before. And in that clearing, I'm able to make out terrain features that allow me to orientate myself in a better way. I'm able to identify more specifically where I'm on the map of life. And more specifically, I am able then to plan and plot a route to reach my next objective. But if I remained on the X, I couldn't see that from where I'm at. So many times I talk to people that say, Coach, I just don't know. I'm trying to find that door. I'm trying to find that door that will open for me. Well, you haven't moved. I know, Coach. I'm scared to move. Okay. Do you see the door where you're at? No, I don't. That's why I'm talking to you. Well, You're not going to see the door. If you can't see the door where you're at, you're continuous. Not like someone's going to take the door and bring it to you. Life is waiting for you to move off the X. So that's what I want. That's the message this morning. Move off the X this morning. I did. Hey, you did a great job showing up. You did a great job of meeting this objective. Now move. Get up. Get moving. Get rolling. Don't stay where you're at.
You still smell like last night. Tabs on my timeline. I'm already on my third fight.
Thank you for joining me on this Monday morning of Coffee with Coach.
Y'all just stumbling out, still dropping your cuss. Eyes red, mind clear, that's a different rush. You chase a quick buzz, I'm addicted to the push. There's a fight inside of me, I'm wrestling my doubt. The bill's something big.
Better get up and move this morning.
More than just a wannabe. Talking on the couch, I'm pouring all this pain in the blueprints of a house. You could pause and play, strike a look for a day, but it takes real grit to make a name that'll stay. You brag about a booth and a drink in the night. I'm talking 4 a.m. lonely screen, long fights. It isn't in a back room, strobe light hype. It's early alarms and them dark phone lights. Why you chasing that last call, last song, last high? I'm chasing that last name written in the sky. Yo, it's that grind talk. 4 a.m. mind talk.
All right, Grid Nation. I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope that you will beat yesterday's you with today's you and get off that damn X. Your response, your responsibility today. I can just give you the tools. It'll be up to you on what you're going to do with those tools. Don't try to drive a nail with a screwdriver. Use the tools properly. And your response.